version.
Yes.
We have not moved.
No.
And that's good.
You and me.
Yes.
Although I would like better seats, though. These clunkers we're sitting on, I feel like I'm anchored into this for 2 hours. My legs are sweating right now on these leather seats.
Really?
Yes.
Tried to bend.
Yes. All right. Joining us in the hot seat right now is Mr. Robert Rickley. He is the business owner of Damsel in Defense, and I have to correct the website, damseldefenders.com. damseldefenders.com, and the stats that I talked about before going to break came right off your website, and I think it's very alarming. Welcome to Vegas Unwrapped.
Well, good evening, Aaron. It's great to be here in fabulous Las Vegas. Great weather we're having tonight.
Yes, it is beautiful outside, and the nights are really nice once the sun goes down. We thank you for coming in. You know, knowing your background as I do, I mean, this is sort of, if someone goes to the website right now, they're going to see a lot of pink and kind of feminine kind of colors, but there's more to the story with your involvement because of your background. Why don't you share with our audience and our listeners some of your background first and why something like this appealed to you as a business for yourself?
Well, as you said, is the colors are pink, purple, and black for most of the devices, and because it is targeted toward women. And my background is law enforcement. I did that for 11 years in Maryland, in Prince George's County, immediately outside of our nation's capital.
When I met him downstairs, Aaron, I got to tell you right away, I said, "That's a cop." I said, "That's a cop." I knew it right away. So I'm really pleased with my assessment.
There you go. And also, you have military background as well.
Right. I was in Afghanistan 2009, 2010, and last year, security contractor in southern Iraq.
Okay. Now, I want to also mention, if Robert's voice may sound vaguely familiar to our listeners, when we did the live remote at Occupy Your Life back in January, we did a live show from there, and Robert was actually one of the business owners we brought on for a quick couple of minutes. So he's not the first time with a microphone with Vegas Unwrapped.
Gotcha.
So we don't have a newbie here like we usually do with a lot of our business owners. So talk about what was the trend for you? Why was something like this appealing to you to get into this kind of business?
Well, look, number one, from a marketing point of view, it is a very, very new company. They just started in September. There are only 15 representatives, or as the company calls them, pros, here in Las Vegas, and less than 700 nationwide. So it's a on the ground
floor stuff.
Ground floor
Great.
Opportunity.
Okay.
As usual, when Aaron said to me who we were going to have on tonight, he gave me the website and said, "Cash, go do your homework." And when I first went on it, I said, "Wow, what a, it's like the AK-47s of self-defense, primarily geared towards women." And as I went through some of the products and saw what was being offered there, I absolutely see the need. But I also was wondering if you could expand on it a little for me. What type of training do you give people that are involved in using the products, if any?
We actually, that's an excellent question, because we do not provide training. Most of these devices are rather simply, and we are neither certified nor licensed to provide training here in Nevada, despite my prior law enforcement experience. What I do try to educate people is changing their mindset, because whether you have one of these devices in your possession or even a firearm, is if your attention is focused on your cell phone as you walk through a dimly lit parking garage, your situational awareness is so greatly decreased that having the device and not having it ready when you perceive a situation that potentially you could be in personal danger, it's not going to do you any good. So the first thing that we address is changing the mindset of the customer.
All right, let's assume for a second that nobody that we're talking to right now has visited the website. Tell us about some of the products.
Well, there's a great variety of products, and they go anywhere from $10 all the way to $100, depending on what your needs are. Pepper sprays in a couple different packages, and those are at the low end, and also the stun guns, which can take you up to the high end. Those are all legally permitted less lethal weapons here in Nevada, and I want to emphasize less lethal because anything has the potential to kill, so the non-lethal really went out in the early 90s, the terminology anyway. But we also, for people who don't want to carry a weapon of any type, we have personal alarms, whether it's a handheld alarm or something that you would put under your hotel room door, for example, when you travel and you're going to be a lot more fatigued than you would normally.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Now, would it be fair to assume that some people that don't want to carry, let's call it a weapon, are afraid that they will lose control of the weapon and maybe have the weapon turned on them?
Then that's a very real concern. There are two models of the stun gun, however, which have a wrist lanyard, and if the stun gun is pulled away from, in this case we'll say that the victim or the person who's being attacked, is the lanyard detaches from the stun gun and it renders it powerless.
Good. That's
His wife did a demo about 2 weeks at a networking group that we actually all belong to, and she had everything from the different types of stun guns that look like cell phones, to what do they call the well, I'm just going to call it the jabber, but I mean I can't think of the name.
It's a Kubaton. They were very popular back in the 80s,
Right.
but they're made out of like a polycarbonate material, but these are made out of aluminum, so you really don't have that brittle. It's not going to age and break apart.
What does it do?
It's just a jabber. It's
a jabbing tool.
It's a soft tissue jabbing tool. So if God forbid it's being employed and being used, you kind of get into those special areas. It just, and it's just
Right. It's like back in the day when we would have self-defense talks with groups of people. We tell them to use, remember the old rat tail comb?
Sure.
Well, they're not really popular anymore, but the same idea is something that you could jam into an attacker, especially if you were attacked from behind.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, to get yourself out, get free so that you can break away and run.
certainly products like pepper spray and mace, although I don't know if mace is part of that, but
No.
okay, but pepper spray and certainly products along those lines, certainly a stun gun is certainly going to be a deterrent to a perpetrator for sure, especially if they don't expect it coming, right?
Exactly, and that the whole surprise is probably 80% of the effectiveness. And like I said, it's something when someone is walking to their vehicle is not to have their phone or even in conversation with somebody on their cell phone, because the cell phone, if they have the latest iPhone, that could potentially even make them a target.
Well,
But
yeah.
to have the stun gun, and some of them do have a flashlight feature, so you can use that, but have it in your hand and ready, or the pepper spray, depending on what your situation is as an individual and what your preference is as an individual. Certainly those, to have it ready, like, and obviously if you were somebody who has a CCW, you can't walk through a parking lot or parking garage with a handgun in your fist, whereas is having something that basically looks like a cell phone unless somebody really scrutinizes it, because they're about the same size and the same shape.
You said that the company has been around since September.
Yes, it's brand new.
Any numbers that you can share with us in terms of how many pieces of this type of equipment has been sold so far?
Those statistics haven't been shared with us from corporate, sorry.
Okay, because I was kind of, all right, well, let me take it a step further then. Have you gotten feedback from some of the customers that have then actually had to use the devices?
Personally, no, I haven't. However, within our network, there was at least one person I know well, I don't know, but I've been told about here in Las Vegas, where and she didn't use it, I guess a human attacker, but actually a dog.
Yeah, wow.
So, and when I run for physical training, I do carry pepper spray, because there are a number of people in my neighborhood that don't bother to leash or keep their dogs in their yard.
Basically, looking at the website, there's 4 categories: stun guns, pepper spray, security on the go, and safe and sassy bundle, which taking all the different products into different packages. And like I said, it's something with 2 daughters who are currently in college as freshmen. When they come home in a couple of weeks, I showed it to my significant other, Robin. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about whether it's something that they want to have. especially when they're walking across campus in the dark light. And thank God there hasn't been any issues. I don't want to look for trouble, but it is something that we're going to address when you hear some of the numbers about what's going on. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I think you make a good point. I know both of my daughters are they work and sometimes have to work late at night. You know, they come out of a place, they have to go to a car, you know, they have to walk across maybe a dimly lit area. I think it's an absolute necessity to be able to be, you know, defensive and have the stuff to be able to protect themselves.
And the prices for the products are more than reasonable.
Sure.
For what you can get, as Robert said at the top, they run from about what, 10 to $100.
Yes.
And I think the what did you call them?
The sticks?
baton. Thank you. The little baton. Glad he remembers it.
The thought of that is just great.
They're like what, $12 each, something
Yeah.
like that, and they're about what, 5-6 inches in length, and they're on a keychain. They're on a keychain loop, so it's always going to be accessible.
Right, and that
To the
those are
carrier.
those things are actually popular with parents who want to buy something for a minor, because in Nevada, is anyone who is under the age of 18 cannot possess pepper spray nor a stun gun.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So there you go. That's also important.
What's
to
the
know.
law in Maryland since you were there?
Maryland,
You know?
pepper spray is okay. Stun gun, the law was still in development at the time that I
Okay.
left. However, generally, as most things are unlawful.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd rather, if depending upon what the age cutoff is, if God forbid my daughter out there in Maryland had to use it, I'd rather use it and ask for forgiveness later.
Absolutely.
You know, that's kind of the way I look at it. You know?
Absolutely.
So, all right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Stick around. We have a few more things we want to go over with you as well, Robert, and then we'll wrap up because I find this fascinating. Check it out, damseldefenders.com, or if you want to just have it downloaded on your cell phone, simply text DIDpro, DIDpro to 90210, and you get all the website information courtesy of iZig, which is a great text marketing company that you and I are familiar with
Yes,
as well.
we are.
All right, don't go anywhere. Phillips and Cash, Vegas and Wrapped. We'll be right back.